I met with the mayor and Kyle Gill last week, and they were able to answer some of my questions, but as I told them, I still have concerns, okay? I'm gonna start with the South Side project that the city did and spent $3 million on, and yet it still does not work, okay? We spent $3 million on it. There's still flooding going on in East Rudy. There was still flooding going on, a car come down. I know that they said that the car got seeped in, okay. They say that some of the problems of the flooding that we had was because of the clogs, you know, the drainage clogging up from the debris. I talked to the city of Champaign, I talked to Springfield, and I talked to Effingham, and they said there is no way possible that that would have happened had those been cleaned the way that they should have been, as Mr. Barber and the mayor and the city administrator told me that they had been. So they say that there's absolutely no way that it would have done it that fast, okay? Now I'll move on to the West Side project, which you guys showed me the plans for it. I'm glad to see that there was plans. I do find it interesting that these plans just came out after this flooding and nobody had knew about them, but supposedly they were created or instrumented 2 years ago. As far as that, the numbers that I'm given is gonna cost $5 million over a 5-year period, but yet the city taxpayers have paid $3 million for the south side, and yet there's still damage being done to the homes over there. So how do we know this is gonna work over on the west side, and how do we know that that's gonna alleviate the problem? So we're expecting the taxpayers to pay that much money with the hopes that it'll work, but yet they still have damage going on to their property. I believe, and I told the mayor and them, I think the city could have done a better job to prepare for the flood the other day. I do not believe, after talking to these cities, that those drainage ditches and those curbs or whatever that got clogged were cleaned like Mr. Barber said that they were. I also find it very interesting that we only had the city, Mr. Gill told me that the city was prepared for this, and we only had 4 officers on duty. 2 of them I know was down on Charleston because there was several vehicles, you know, that had stalled there, and we had 2 other officers, so I have a concern that we only had 4 officers on duty that night. So they were all taking care of the flooding. Well, what was going on with the other calls? I mean, I do have a concern that we were not prepared for that. You guys also told me, I asked a question about residents. Residents trying to get help with repairs or whatever that was damaged by them, and you all told me that Irva assisted with that. Well, I spoke to Irva, and Irva told me that that's not necessarily true. They only have $500 in their emergency account. It takes over a year for Irva to even come and look at their homes. So $500, as the lady from Irva told me, is not gonna go very far to help the residents of Mattoon that have been damaged by the flooding. You know, I think it's time for the city to step up and have to do something to solve this problem, because I mean, people are struggling, the same areas are being affected, and so I don't know what the city needs to do, but I think that they need to do something. I would like to see them reach out and actually try to help these people, and $500 is not gonna take them very far. Thank you.